about here, man.
I think we do have him on Zoom now. Mike, can you hear us?
I can, yes.
Fantastic. Good to see you. I'm here to tell you, Mike, sometimes coaches, they worry about a letdown, right? Coming off a big game, going into a non-Power 4 opponent. Ramon Foster is not going to have any kind of letdown, Mike. He is in here breaking down his first start as a Tennessee Volunteer, which happened to also be against UAB earlier in his Tennessee career. Mike, he is fired up breaking down his film right now. You are going to get Ramon like it's a big game again on Saturday.
That was a 17-10 Vol win, was it not, Ramon?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I'm shocked by that. But, yes, it was 17-10, Mike.
Tennessee's played a couple of close games with UAB, had an overtime game with them in the Jeremy Pruitt era.
That's right.
Or maybe that was 2010. I think that was 2010.
Yes, you're right.
But there have been a couple of the five have been pretty tight. So I think Tennessee fans certainly understand the name and what the challenge is this weekend. I mean, UAB needs this one. This is their chance to really get on the map again under Trent Dilfer, who started 9-18 in his time there. And so you get it. You get what the opportunity is at this moment in time for the Blazers. And for the Volunteers, you certainly know you've got to get back into it, get a win, hopefully be convincing enough that you can get a lot of guys to play, which means you get some of your starters out of there and have the opportunity to start getting ready to dive back into the conference. But first things first, you got to take care of UAB, and that does not promise to be easy with the offense they have.
Well, and Mike, too, it feels like this team is uniquely built and has a competitive character of not taking weeks like this off. And we saw that against ETSU. It's something we've learned not to take for granted, considering the challenge Austin Peay presented a couple of years ago, and other programs like Georgia will raise their hand and say they get that as well. Mike, the impression I get of this football team is the leadership, but also maybe just the coaching staff keeping that level of urgency the same in weeks like this, Mike. This appears to be a strength of this football team, leadership that takes games like this still seriously, which is not something that every program could say.
Yeah, and not every Tennessee team can say through the course of history. I think that's true. I think the issue, though, and what you don't know, is so many guys played so many snaps last week in a very physical game, in a very emotional game. And so does that make it harder to physically rise to that level again? And Will, that's what you don't know. In your mind, you may be taking it seriously. In your heart, you may know it's an opponent you've got to go get. And sometimes the body doesn't respond in the way that you want it to because of the physicality. That's the problem with the SEC. That's the whole issue with this conference and what it's going to be, especially next year when they go to 9 games. I mean, there is an NFL-level quality to the emotion and the physicality of every conference game, and sometimes your next opponent can benefit from that. And so that's going to be the challenge of getting off to a good start, of making sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's, because you don't want to open that door in a way because you're just not quite as good physically as you have been the week before, just because of what it takes out of you. So I think they've been very careful in how they've handled this team physically throughout the course of this week. They have work they've got to get in. They have things that they must improve dramatically, and they know that. And, they're headed out there right now to get back to work. But I think they're very cognizant of what the Georgia game was. And I'm sure, Georgia's thrilled. They have a bye. And so for Georgia to come off the Tennessee game and have a bye, that is very fortunate for Kirby Smart and his team.
Yes, we're joined by voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, this morning. Mike, revisiting last week, speaking of that physicality, man, a lot of guys answered the call. I told folks Monday in our response, I left full after that game because you checked a lot of boxes. Going toe-to-toe with Georgia, it was a classic, I think instant classic for fans of football. What was your take on that, Mike, even on the losing side of it for the Vols fans?
Well, if Tennessee wins that football game, that's one of the 10 greatest games in modern Vol history at Neyland Stadium. So that's how close you were to not only winning, but to have something because of the nature of the game. I think that's one of the reasons that the ratings nationally on TV were what they were. If you were just someone in Los Angeles, California, who was watching college football, you wanted to see every minute of that game because it had some of everything on both sides. And you did stand toe to toe. Statistically, you were toe to toe. It was not a game that was decided by a bunch of fluke plays and by a bunch of turnovers. It was a game where two teams just went at it. The difference, Georgia made plays in the fourth quarter and in overtime more than Tennessee did. They executed better, and they did what Kirby Smart's teams have done 100 times in their last 114 games. That's the lesson that you take. But do you feel like you can play with them physically? Yes, you did. Do you feel like you have what it takes to be one of those teams? You do. And now and these are the weeks where it all starts. And it sounds like coach speak, and maybe it is, but can you come back from that and give the kind of performance that you need to give in order to defeat UAB, get better, and get ready to go take on what I think will be an undefeated Mississippi State team at 3:15 on September the 27th?
No doubt about it. You use this week as momentum for corrections and everything else. And just looking at the focus that this team has, we've brought this up before. Joey Aguilar, the quarterback, is supposed to be the CEO, the most noticeable guy on campus. And sorry, Rick Barnes, is just how it is, man, with football versus any other sport. How has he, Mike, changed the perception, operation, and just expectation of this team with Joey Aguilar, man? I thought, of course, you can see him spin the football. I don't think he's ever faced an opponent like Georgia with the talent that he has at Tennessee. I know App State plays some very challenging teams, but I don't think he's ever faced a team like that. And for him, it's got to change the entire outlook, starting from the coaching staff all the way down to his teammates right now.
Okay, share a funny story. Ashley Farrell and I are having lunch yesterday in the cafeteria here at the football complex. And Ashley says Joey Aguilar's name, and I swear, not 10 seconds later, he walks up to our table. And it's like, whoa.
Wow. The
Like
boogeyman.
Beetlejuice. Yeah. Called his name. Here he appears.
Yeah.
And we sat and talked to him for just a couple of minutes while he was waiting on his food. And the thing that's so striking in just having a conversation with him is how much he's enjoying this, how much he loves this challenge, how much he digs being part of the University of Tennessee football culture, and is enjoying the entire SEC experience. And I think just from that very short interaction, it reinforces that he's attacking this opportunity in a way rather than pulling back from it. You know, that's the part of it that I think is so much fun to see when he plays. He wasn't scared Saturday. He didn't play scared. He doesn't throw scared. There's nothing about what he does that is fearful or too big for him in this situation. And that was the part of it that we got out of the discussion yesterday. Is I asked him, I said, "Are you having a good time?" Because I'm having so much fun. And I think when you look at people in these situations, when you can tell they're having a good time is when they actually have the ability to maximize their performance. I mean, Pavi at Vanderbilt is a great example of that. I mean, he's a guy who's clearly having a great time. When you're that athlete and that moment comes around for you, like it is for Joey Aguilar at Tennessee right now, I don't want to say you feel like you're playing with house money, but I do think you feel like, I never thought I would have this opportunity. It's come. I'm good enough to meet the moment. It's the right point in my life for this to happen, whereas at 19 or 20, it wouldn't have been. And so I don't know that there's necessarily a ceiling for him, Ramon, because I think he feels like he can just keep going. And that's one of the reasons, back to something Will said earlier about not overlooking this opponent. I don't think he's going to take one game off. I don't think he's going to take a series off. I don't think he's going to take a play off, because he gets that being Tennessee's quarterback is a big deal. He's fortunate to be here, and he wants to enjoy it as much as possible.
Voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, joining us for his weekly visit here on the show, brought to you by Two Rivers Ford and Volunteer Traditions. Mike, Chris Brazzell, we spoke about a few weeks ago as being the newest Vols receiver who is trying to make that year two jump and understanding his role within this system. He made a leap, like an Olympic level high jump on Saturday against Georgia. What can you say just about him, the person that he is, the player that he is, Mike? I know Todd McShay started to talk about, hey, is he the number one receiver in this next draft? We got a lot more football to play before we really talk about that. But how impressed are you with him and the performance from him on Saturday?
Well, let's put it this way. I don't know where he rates towards April in Pittsburgh, but what I do know is he made a bunch of money last weekend.
He did.
Because he did it against players who will play in the NFL. And that's the type of thing that matters. He went out and he won. Now, can he keep it up? The whole question with him entering this year is, could he be consistent? He made some good plays for the Vols last year, but then he had times where was he? What happened? Now, was that his fault? Was that the fault of the quarterback? Was that the fault of the system? I don't know, but there were games where he just wasn't around. And he had a decent game against Syracuse. He dropped a pass that might have gone for a touchdown. If he catches that slant, he's over 100 yards in that game. But he played pretty well. He came back and he met the moment against East Tennessee State in terms of the opportunity, lesser opponent, but still did what he needed to do. You're concentrating on yourself, not the opponent in that situation. And then you're concentrating on everything in the Georgia game, and Chris Brazzell puts on an all-conference type performance. Can he keep it up? Can he be a guy who goes out and has 80 catches? Because that means he's getting open a lot. Can he be a guy that has 12 or 1,300 yards? Or is he going to be 60 catches for 750 yards, which is great, but are you elite? I think he has a skill set that gives him the chance to be elite, and the more he proves that, the more things sort of start to expand for him. With Rodarius Jackson's injury, the first team wide receivers are going to have to continue to play a lot of snaps, but for Braylon Staley, for Mike Matthews, for Chris Brazzell, Travis Smith, obviously, too, the opportunities are going to be there. And, oh, by the way, the quarterback will throw you the ball. I mean, he will. He doesn't have any preconceived notions about, well, last year you didn't do this, or when we both got on campus as freshmen, you couldn't get open, or no, he's like, this is what I see. I'm throwing you the ball. I think he's going to have the opportunity to get the targets. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about him. I'm very happy for him because I know he's put in a lot of work, and I've listened to a lot of people talk about, I don't know him, but I know a lot of people in the program who like him very much, and they're very happy for him. And so hopefully he can keep that up and be the next elite guy. But I caution anybody to overlook Mike Matthews and certainly Braylon Staley. They're doing a great job too.
No doubt about it. Other young guys, man, guys that are growing up, man. Caleb Herring, 1.5 sacks, 2 TFL, 2.5 tackles for loss this past weekend. Also, it's good seeing these guys coming to their own, Mike, going into that junior year is so big. And the other part, Caleb Herring, 6'5". I'm almost eye to eye with him, man. They got some young pups, Mike, defensively. They're going to have to play and grow up throughout this next stretch before the bye week come up. What have you been impressed by those guys, starting with Caleb Herring?
Oh, I love Caleb Herring. Yeah. I love his length. I love how heavy he plays at the point of attack. And when I say that, I mean you can't move him. Mm-hmm. He's not a 225-pound outside linebacker, what Tennessee calls the Leo. He's a thick dude who really brings it all the time. I tell you, to me, one of the great stories on defense, even though the defense has not been as dominant as what Tim Banks wants to this point, is the improvement in the Leo core. And I'm talking about Joshua Josephs, who's tied for the conference lead with 3 sacks. He played well last year, but he only had a sack and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, he did a nice job, but it was James Pierce, and he's on track to have a much better year statistically than what James Pierce did a year ago. And then you've got Caleb Herring, who seems to be elevating towards his potential. And then Jordan Ross, who was a 5-star, who's another guy who's got length and power. He's starting to come on too. I think one of the challenges for Tim Banks is, do you try to get those Leos on the field at the same time in situations other than just passing situations? Meaning, are those 2 or 3 guys part of your best 11? And so do you kind of figure out how you do that? Do you take a man in the secondary off the field and go more traditional with 4 guys in the secondary? Or do you take a linebacker off the field? Or do you take a defensive tackle off the field? Because those guys are just so explosive. But Caleb is right at the start of that. And with all 3 of those guys playing well, that's a good problem to have for Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it.
Mike, on the way out this weekend, a special Sunday at Nissan Stadium as you're going to be inducted into the Tennessee Titans Ring of Honor. Have you processed this? Just what are the emotions like and feelings like going into what I'm sure will be a really, really cool day for you personally and for so many Titans fans and Titans radio listeners to celebrate your time here in Nashville?
Well, it's nice of you to say. I certainly understand the magnitude of the honor, and it's a bit overwhelming from the standpoint that I totally get that a broadcaster doesn't belong in a place where Steve McNair and Eddie George are. I get that. That's what processes in my head, and yet I'm sure as heck not turning it down. So I'll be there to accept. But I think the part of it that really sticks out for me is just the understanding about how much that franchise has meant in my life, and what for the people there to say you're worthwhile in this way, to me, is the ultimate honor, because that fan base and that franchise will always be near and dear to my heart for what they gave me. And so for them to honor me in this way is overwhelming. And I just hope I don't screw it up at halftime. That's the whole goal.
You won't.
The whole goal.
You won't, Mike.
I hope not.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And I hope we beat the Colts, because that's great. Really important.
See, that's what they were waiting for, Mike. They was waiting for Trash Talk Mike to show up.
Yeah, well, I mean, what would really be special is to have this happen and we beat the Colts.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's well earned, as Coach Mack said the last hour. We're excited. Going to be a cool day in Nissan
Coach
Stadium.
Mack said it was well earned, really?
He did. He said a lot of people will use the term well deserved. This was earned.
Yeah.
Word for word what he said the last hour.
Very nice of him.
Yeah. That's right. And we got Taylor Zarzer the next hour, who will be one booth over from you and Ramon on Saturday against UAB as well.
Yeah, will y'all swap duties, Mike? I mean, you know the team.
He's trying to take every one of my jobs. That's his whole move. I'm going to find him in the Vol Network booth when I show up, but he's going to host the Mike Keith show this afternoon. I know what's going on.
Yeah, I love it.
If you need...
I mean, he's not going to stop. He's like one of those people going west claiming land. He's the Ryan Seacrest of all of this.
Yes.
I know what's happening.
Yes.
I'm aware.
Can't even have Wheel of Fortune.
Kind of looks like Ryan Seacrest too, doesn't
I can see that. Absolutely.
Can do everything.
See, he gonna put all that on his resume now.
Voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, brought to you by Two Rivers Ford and Volunteer Traditions. Mike, we appreciate the time as always.
Mike.
Congrats in advance on what is going to be such a cool day and honor on Sunday, and we're excited. Looking forward to it.
Thanks. See you soon.
See you,
Yes,
Mike.
sir. Mike Keith with us here this morning. Good
He's
stuff.
right. Seacrest is everywhere.
Dun, 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 dun. This
Everywhere.
is American Idol.
Isn't it?
I was raised on that.
He's on Wheel of Fortune too.
Yeah, he's the new Wheel of Fortune guy. That's right.
If I have the time, I'm a daily 6:30 Wheel of Fortune watcher.
You know what the other name of this show is?
What's that?
Wheel of Fortune.
Go to break. No, we're not doing this. Absolutely not. We're not doing. You don't have the voice like that. No, let's beat it. Get you a voice fan, okay?
Open phone lines coming up. We'll get to Greg, 615-737-1045. I crack myself up. I don't know if anybody else laughs, but I'm just glad I laugh.
You're not even a dad and you're doing dad jokes, man.
Wrap it up, hour 3 next. There's the wheel.